Hi everyone, today we're going to be talking about why you should do robotics and why specifically VEX robotics. So yeah, other than being really fun, I think robotics is a really good way to get involved and interested into anything STEM because there's a little bit of everything for everyone. So a lot of the skills you learn from robotics is you learn how to code, you learn how to make your robot move using code, and also some autonomous programs as well to make it move by its own without user input from your controller or something. You also learn how to build your robots, basically how to make things fit securely so they don't fall off, and to do what you want in competition. And you also learn how to design. So, what mechanisms and what strategy should I implement to make my robot more efficient in competition? So there's a lot of those skills that you learn from robotics. So there are a number of different robotics programs that are commonly known, but I'm going to be focusing on mainly VEX or VRC, FTC, and FRC. The main differences between all of these is cost, size, and playstyle. So the first one I'm going to be going over is FRC. So FRC is the biggest robots available, basically. Their fields and robots are big, so it's usually one school has one team, and so they have a lot of sponsors. So to shoulder the cost of building those big robots and to be able to compete and have a playing field to practice on. One of the main differences between VEX and FRC and FTC is that both of them have custom parts. So you can like model something in CAD design, computer assisted design, and then 3D print it or fabricate it using sheet metal or something. Uh, then you would learn a lot more different skills, such as like maybe welding or just 3D printing skills. And so you would learn how to do that. But Vex doesn't really have that because we have the set Vex kit. And so you just use that and we just cut pieces out of what we buy from Vex. What I like about this is although FRC and FTC you get more flexibility, I think what Vex does makes the playing field a lot more even because basically if you're an FRC and FTC, if a team has like unlimited funding, basically like they just have like tons of sponsors just backing them, uh, they can just like spend a lot of money on parts and then have a huge advantage over other teams that don't spend as much money on the program. And so I think Vex, by only limiting us to using their own parts, they're not really limiting our abilities as so much, but they're making the playing field a lot more level and forcing us to, think outside of the box with what we have, right? So yeah. Uh, Another one of the differences between FRC is that the fields are like really big. Like I'm pretty sure they fit like inside of an entire gym or so, which unlike the X fields and the FTC fields, which are just 18 by 18, 18 by 18 feet, and so yeah. So now on to FTC. FTC is actually the most similar to Vex. They have their own system and they have uh, the similar field size, but one of the main differences between FTC and Vex is also cost and playstyle. So FTC is actually more expensive than Vex. I talked about it a little bit because they have the custom parts, right? So if you're going to be a single person team like I am, it's going to be very difficult for you to compete, or at least a small team at least, because just of how much parts and equipment you need. Because to get all those custom parts, you might need a CNC machine or a lot of cutting and other equipment, which would be difficult to get as a small person team that to shoulder that cost alone. So without as many sponsors. So yeah, that's why I like Vex more for that aspect. And another is playstyle. So uh, if you look at any FTC match, you'll see that all the robots are basically moving on their own paths. They don't really come in contact with each other and they just do their own thing basically to score points and whatnot. Why I like Vex better is because it's a lot more competitive. Because we don't really have that many contact rules. Like we have a lot less rules compared to FTC, and so we're allowed to use a more strategy. So it'd be like, oh, bump into this robot here and get in their way, block their path, and then prevent them from scoring points and to force them to think out of the box. So that's why I like Vex a lot better, because you combine that point of building robots and then actually also using strategy to win an advantage in matches, to just get more involved in robotics, I guess. It makes it more interesting. Keep in mind that I might have a little biased opinion because iSchool actually has both the FTC and FRC teams. I tried out for the FTC team because it's a smaller team, right? It's 15 people at maximum, and I was rejected. So I may be harboring a little bit of resentment there, but I truly think that Vex is a better option because I think the real it's really cool to have that flexibility that you don't see with other programs. Like you can have a 1-person team to a 15-person team, and it just depends on how you allocate those roles and how involved you want to be in the program. Because I don't see that amount of flexibility in the other FRC or FTC programs. So I think that the level that Vex has makes it really unique and fun to compete in. So yeah, I hope that it clears up a lot of your questions about the differences between the different robotics programs, and I hope this helps you in making your decision. Yeah. Bye!